In Chapter 3 of Looking at Movies, Richard Barsom and Dave Monahan explore the idea of movie genres. The American film industry has invented 6 identifiable genres. They are the gangster movie, the film noir movie, the science fiction movie, the horror movie, the western movie, and the musical. Of these, the one that is most easily recognizable is the western. All genre films are defined by their conventions. These include story formulas, theme, character types, setting, presentation, and stars. An example of a simplified story formula for a western is something goes wrong with the town or in the environment, and the handsome, courageous cowboy saves the day. An example of a theme is that almost always in any western, man versus nature or man versus the environment. An example of character types would be the cowboy or outlaw, the town drunk, the sheriff, the town bartender, the town soda shop owner, the town general store owner, the damsel in distress, the school marm, the gunslingers and saloon girls, the town reverend, the reverend's wife, the friendly Indian tribe, the not-so-friendly Indian tribe, the Indian tribe chief, the military, the mountain man, and the horse. The setting for westerns is obviously the American West. The presentation of these films is usually exterior shots that make man look small compared to the wilderness, paired with subjects dominating the shot during conversation between characters. As for stars, American westerns will always be paired with people like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. In Chapter 3, Barsom and Monahan say, American history inspired the western, but the genre's enduring popularity has more to do with how Americans see and explain themselves than with any actual event. Arthur Penn goes against this in his film Little Big Man. In an interview with Cinasti, the reporter asked, in Little Big Man, was your intention to develop a counter-mythology of the history of the American West? Penn responds with, yeah, it was to say, wait a minute, folks. The American Indian has been portrayed in movies in the worst way possible. I mean, pure, naked racism. So let's examine how we have told our own history, such as Custer's Last Stand. I mean, you go out there to this day and they feed you a lot of bullshit about the great, brave Custer, but the books don't bear that out at all. He was a pompous, self-aggrandizing man. The reporter follows up with, as in Bonnie and Clyde, you successfully used an approach which conjoins humor, tragedy, violence, and comedy. Penn responds with, yes, and it's an approach that really couldn't exist under the studio system today because they would perform a judgment about the category of a film as either one thing or the other. What was happening at that time in Hollywood was that enormous power had been delved upon by directors because the studio system had kind of collapsed. We were really running it, so we could introduce this new perception of how to make another kind of movie. I don't mean that some movies in the past hadn't had this mixture to some degree. To make it the very narrative style of the movie, I think was pretty unheard of. Arthur Penn does an excellent job of balancing traditional things from westerns and adding his own flair in Little Big Man. In other westerns, Indians are usually portrayed as the bad guy. In Little Big Man, it shows both sides of the Indians, as the good people and as the bad people. He also includes several stereotypical character types. In the traditional western, the main character usually is a Christian white male who has white privilege. In Little Big Man, the main character is still a white male, but he was raised by Indians. And instead of just being a wholesome family guy, he has 4 Indian wives and has another white wife. The mood of traditional westerns is also very different than Little Big Man. As Penn said in the interview, his movie is humorous and odd, whereas other westerns are very serious and dramatic. Also, as he mentioned in the interview, he does portray Custer in a negative light. Custer is a mean, arrogant man in this film and just wants to ruthlessly kill Indians in an effort for Western expansion.